Hey everyone, how's it going? Aaron Rift here from NoDQ.com. I am being joined by the usual gang, good old JM Jeff Meacham and the Power of Pain, David Payne. We are here to talk about the NXT Takeover San Antonio show, which is one night before the 2017 Royal Rumble. This is the first WWE, I guess you could say, pay-per-view event of 2017 if you want to consider this a pay-per-view. So overall, I have to say that this is a little bit of a weaker card than usual. It feels like it's not as big of a deal as previous NXT specials. Now, with that being said, I'm still expecting this to be a really solid show, as the NXT shows usually are. So I'll start with you, David. Overall, how much are you looking forward to this event?
Well, when I looked at it on Wikipedia, I kind of was like, the first three matches, but to me, in their mind, they're probably thinking the same thing. They're probably thinking, oh, people are going to trash us because the card ain't good. Then they'll go out there and probably have terrific matches, The opening tag match should probably be an interesting one. So, I'm looking forward to it. I always tend to look forward to the NXT ones just a little bit more because it's more about the in-ring and it appeases somebody like me. So I generally like the NXT TakeOver event. So hopefully this one will be, pretty good.
What do you think, Jeff? Because this is NXT. I mean, do they really even need a solid card? You just know because it's the NXT brand, it's going to be a solid show.
Well, that is where the problem lies, my friend. And that is, when a brand gets too big for its own britches and they start to think they can rest on their laurels and they coast, bad things happen. Now, I'm not saying NXT is coasting. I'm not saying that by any means necessary at all. But what I'm saying is, if we are allowed to think they rest on their laurels, then not as many of us will tune in on that Saturday night next week and want to see it. I want to see this show, much like I wanted to see the UK tournament. I wanted to see it so bad that when I came home from work Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock after being on the night shift all night, I watched the entire tournament straight through. I didn't sleep for 3 days. Okay,
it was a good one.
Well, that's just typical Jeff.
It has been with this new night job that I have. I literally have to play catch-up watching Raw and SmackDown on DVR because even though I've been granted the gift of sling, thank you, boss, I don't get to watch it at 5 o'clock because I'm not home. So right. Having to play WWE catch-up this last couple of weeks has been very challenging. NXT has been one of those things that have kind of been a loss for me as far as I haven't get to see the entire product, but I will say the main event is something that we've seen on house shows for the better part of the last 2 to 3 months. I saw it in Bakersfield. So I'm looking forward to talking about that match in particular.
The intros are going to be off the chain, to use a
the intros are going to be a half hour by themselves. No wonder there's only 5 matches.
I'll just tune in for the entrances.
That's right.
Arguably the two best entrances in all of wrestling.
Absolutely, the two best theme songs. Yeah, that match is going to be lit.
Well, when Aaron and I did the No DQ Awards preview at the end of last year, and we talked about the theme song of the year, I was literally pissed off that I could not play both those songs to play for the people to hear that for the 3 people that haven't heard those songs yet, and I knew that one of those two was going to win. So imagine both. Think about a little theater in Bakersfield, California, and the fact that everybody's singing both of those songs sounded like a 15,000 seat arena.
I know, you told me that. It's just amazing how into that intro people are when Bobby Roode comes out there. It's going to be a tremendous match also.
Yes, but as we often said in books about wrestling, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, let's start at the bottom here and work our way up to the top. Let's start off with the first match, which is a singles match. Roderick Strong making his NXT pay-per-view debut against Andrade, what is it, Cien Almas?
Cien Almas, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, Jeff, we used to watch Roderick Strong in PWG, and this is his opportunity now to shine on the WWE stage. What are your thoughts on Strong being in WWE now?
Roddy's in a good place right now. He's got a baby on the way. He's working NXT. He is one of those guys in NXT who was the indie darling who's now the talk of the wrestling world. Right now everybody's talking about the UK guys, and that's fine. But when you get to NXT, you talk about Roderick Strong now. He's definitely in a very good place in his long career. And you think about how long he's been around. We were seeing him in Gorilla 10 years ago.
Yeah, he's been around.
It's amazing to me how these guys who have been in the indie circuit for so long were such young pups when they started on the indie circuit at PWG and Ring of Honor, things like that, and they still have enough of a sustainable career to make it NXT for 1, 2, or 3 years. Roderick Strong is no exception. He's one of those guys who, when you think you've got him figured out as far as he can do anything in the business, he can do that much more. And Andrade Cien Almas had all the hype in the world, but often with hype machines, they get deflated, and he's become the jobber to the stars. Saturday night was no exception. Roderick Strong wins.
What do you think, David?
Yeah, I'm somewhat familiar with Roderick Strong. I do like his work. And if you do know WWE's formula, they tend to get indie stars that have had, quite a bit of experience. I mean, you see guys that come in their mid-30s now getting an NXT. And I just think that almost NXT is like the best indie promotion in the world when you think about it in that
right,
term.
Exactly.
It's really good. And yeah, I see Roderick Strong winning. It wouldn't do him justice with his, because he does have a fan base, so it wouldn't do him justice losing. So I definitely see him winning. But I really love what NXT is doing, and also with not only the Cruiserweight tournament, but the British tournament was phenomenal. And I hope some of these guys get signed, because I think it's going to make their product that much better.
Absolutely. So yeah, I agree with both of you. I think Strong is going to win this match. This will be a showcase for him to get his career going in WWE. And next up, we have another singles match. Ty Dillinger, Mr. Perfect 10 himself, against the leader of Sanity, Eric Young. Now, this match is really interesting, I think, because Eric Young is starting to build up momentum now that he's in WWE and NXT. He's got his own faction. But on the other hand, Ty Dillinger has become this cult favorite. And you got people chanting 10 now on Monday Night Raw. That thing has really caught on. And I would, under normal circumstances, go with Eric Young. But I'm wondering if Ty Dillinger is going to get a big push because of the fact that the fans are getting into the 10 chant. And he's starting to develop this cult following. So I'll start with you, Jeff. What do you think about this match?
Well, before I get into my prediction for this match, let me ask you, because I had no idea. I haven't been on the NoDQ YouTube. Has Coast to Coast gone live yet?
Not yet.
Okay, we're having trouble with that. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, on Coast to Coast, whenever it goes up, we talked about Ty Dillinger and the fact that he's become a freaking phenomenon, and the fact that, the entire UK tournament, whenever anybody was outside the ring, instead of counting along with the referee, they were all counting 10. 10, every single count. Now, the other thing we mentioned about Ty Dillinger is if he's in the Royal Rumble this year and he's not number 10, it's complete bullcrap. So I think they're going to lead us to the path of Ty Dillinger going into the Royal Rumble match itself on Sunday night.
Maybe he'll be number 11.
If he's number 11, the people are going to completely crap on it. They will go completely bat-ass crazy.
That's the kind of swerve you would pull, Rift.
I know. That's something I would do.
It's totally something you would do, and that's why you're the evil genius.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to have Dillinger in the Rumble this year just to give us all a big old, one of those wet dream moments, so to speak. So I think that whatever happens on Saturday is going to be a non-factor in Ty Dillinger's career. With that said, I think Eric Young goes over.
Yeah, because you have Sanity there to interfere and potentially cost Ty the match. So yeah, I think Eric will win due to outside interference. What do you think, David?
Yeah, I think Eric's going to win too. But I will say, I do like Ty Dillinger, but I almost wonder this phenomenon of the 10, is it going to sustain like the What has over the years, or will it fade out?
Do we want it to sustain? That's the question. Do we want it to?
I don't know. I'm kind of indifferent about it. I mean, obviously, I'm sure he loves it, but it's almost like it's just a blatant hijack of,
Yeah.
And then I feel bad for the poor referee who's got to keep it all in his head. They're like, where am I at? Am I at 9? Am I at 7? What do I do?
I will say that the one thing I hated about the UK tournament was the fans and the fact that they were so into themselves, and the fact that they kept chanting 10 every count. They kept making it a point to be more of a hindrance to the competitors than a fan. So
they chanted a lot more than 10. They were doing like soccer chants that I'm not even familiar with what they were saying.
That's what I'm saying. It was almost to the point where you couldn't even focus on the match, and that was me watching from Southern California. I can't imagine the 10 people in the arena that were going, "Oh my god!"
Yeah,
they're almost like an ECW crowd the way they were sort of hijacking it. And I think they even said "you effed up" at one point too when somebody botched a move.
And you know what? Maybe the business needs an ECW type crowd to reinvigorate. Maybe, but you know what? That's not the place for it. And I think I like what you said, David, excuse me, about the What chant persisting over, can you believe this now, 15 years.
Yeah, long time.
The fact that people can't cut a promo in any company in the world, not just WWE, without the what's hindering them in their promos. I think 10 has that potential, but I also think that Ty Dillinger is now Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Right.
Right.
All right, so we're all going with Eric to win this one then.
Yes.
That's correct.
All right. Next up, we have the Fatal 4-Way match for the NXT Women's Championship. Asuka defending against Nikki Cross, Billie Kay, and Peyton Royce. Now, in my opinion, even though the odds are against her and she only has a 25% chance of winning, as Michael Cole might say, I think Asuka's going to pull through here and retain the title again. It really shows that the women's division in NXT, in my opinion, isn't really that strong where they actually need to do a Fatal 4-Way match to really have Asuka put to the test here. You know, they have to have all the other women involved, you know, instead of doing a one-on-one match because they don't have anybody else who's really a strong enough challenger for her. So, Jeff, what do you think about this match?
I completely agree, and thank you for that little lob up there so I can just out of the park. Appreciate that.
No problem.
Because, like I said, I watch NXT a whole lot. So, yeah, the fact that they have built this monster machine out of Asuka over the last, almost a year now since she beat Bayley in Dallas last year, and that's I think they're heading for. They're heading for a year-long reign, and I'm thinking they're going to head for Orlando, and whoever faces her takeover will become the new women's champion. So she will get through Royal Rumble weekend with the title intact. You're definitely going to see Billy and Peyton double teaming, and I dare say you'll see a little bit of an implosion there for maybe a few minutes between the two over who gets the pin, and maybe we'll see the best friends have a little bit of a tiff, so to speak. And Nikki Cross is just freaking out of her mind. She's going to just start obliterating everybody for about 10 minutes and just stand tall and go, I beat everybody's ass, whooping me, and then she'll get beat too.
What do you think, David?
Yeah, Nikki Cross looks like one of the women from my neighborhood, man. Tough
Ooh.
chick, you know.
Detroit girls,
Asuka,
wow.
Yeah. But Asuka is definitely their top star, and I agree. In fact, it was funny. My girlfriend's the one who made the comment. She goes to me, the NXT women's division isn't very deep, is it? And I said, no, not really, not yet. You know, they can acquire some people from TNA maybe that, you know, that could build it up a little bit. But yeah, Asuka's going to have the championship, probably until she goes to the main roster, I would assume.
Yeah,
but,
I'm thinking WWE is going to do this women's tournament later this year, and once they do that, they'll have some new women to potentially bring into NXT. So that's why I really like the idea of doing the women's tournament, because they need some fresh blood in here to go up against Asuka.
Well,
I agree.
You know, it's one of those common phrases in business in general, not just wrestling, but in any kind of business or sports entertainment, or whatever you want to call it. It's a good problem to have too many quality women that keep getting called up.
Yeah, they called up all the best ones now, and all that's left is really Asuka, who's the one big talent that they haven't brought up yet. And they're probably not going to bring her up anytime soon, since they need her there to carry the women's division in NXT.
That's what I'm saying. I think she's going to last at least till WrestleMania weekend, if not longer. You mentioned the tournament over the summer. If it happens, she may even go all the way and, face the winner of the tournament.
Exactly. So we're all going with Asuka.
Don't be surprised to see. Oh, I'm sorry, Aaron. I was just going to say, don't be surprised to see a lot of near falls and these women actually really try to put on the best show possible. Because
this is WWE. I mean, I think every match is going to have near falls.
What's funny is I wasn't one of you guys. So I heard some random thought I saw on some website that they've actually talked to Medusa about coming in and being a challenger for Asuka, just to have the never defeated women's champion against the undefeated women's champion.
That would be interesting. I mean, because they had Mickie James, and remember, they had to bring in somebody else from the outside, like Mickie James, and then they ended up signing Mickie James and having her go to the main roster. So,
and maybe now that Trish has had her little Madison, maybe she'll get herself back in ring shape. You never know.
Yeah, never say never. Next up, we have the tag team title match for the NXT tag team titles, of course. DIY, do it yourself. Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa versus the Authors of Pain with Paul Ellering. I think it's too soon for DIY to lose the tag team titles. And I think Authors of Pain, they're an okay big person tag team, but I think at the end of the day, you got to go with the team that has the momentum, and I feel that's DIY. I feel it's too soon for them to lose the tag team titles. What do you think, Jeff?
This is one of those, it's not quite as dominant as the Goldberg streak was in 1998, but the Authors of Pain have not yet lost. and you've got the evil genius Paul Ellering behind him. And
Paul Ellering.
That's what I said, Paul Ellering. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's been a guiding light to many tag teams, especially the Road Warriors over the years. But as you said, Riff, DIY has the momentum. They've got the fan base. They've got the people believing in the tag team division again. And yes, the Revival was doing that for the longest time, but now the fans are behind Johnny and Tommaso, and I think an offensive pain victory would only deflate the division. So I agree with you, Aaron. They're going to have a DIY retain.
What do you think, David?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to be the parrot here, but I definitely agree with both of you. I mean, DIY, I'm really high on them. In fact, I texted both of you and I said, just give it 2 years and Johnny Wrestling will be Intercontinental Champion. You watch and see, man. I mean, that tag team's got loads of potential, and either one of those guys could probably do well as a single star too, you know. So it's just one of those, you know, I can't wait till they get to WWE situations because I think they'll have great matches there with, you know, the fucking, what are they called? I'm sorry, the new Kurt Angle guys. What's their name?
The
Steiner Brothers, American Alpha. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, those.
Wow, the champions can't remember their names. We all need a nap. Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but yeah, because they're like the top tag team in SmackDown. I forget their names, but yeah, I think they could have a really good program there. But yeah, I definitely see DIY retaining, and Paul Ellering is just out there to sort of endorse them. You know what I mean? Like they did with Legion of Doom when they brought them in. So that's all that is. DIY definitely will retain.
You know, you mentioned Johnny. I forgot one other person in the women's division area. I wonder how much money or how much investment it's going to take for them to bring in Candice LeRae.
I know, that's what I want to see, definitely.
Because I would love to see Candice LeRae face anybody on the, not just NXT, but the WWE roster. Because she's great.
Yeah, they need to sign her. I'm not sure why they haven't yet. I mean, she's definitely at the top of the list.
I'm thinking part of it is her tag team with Joey because they are really successful. So
awkward
I'm thinking
silence.
Joey Ryan. Sorry for those who don't know who Joey is. Joey Ryan, the king of Dong style. I think that Joey and Candice is the world's cutest tag team. Is a hot commodity in the indie circuit, and I think that she's they're everywhere. They're all over the place. Mainly at Gorilla, that's true, but they're also all over the country. So I think it will take a serious investment on WWE's part to bring her into the fold. I hope they do it.
Yeah, definitely. And she could be one of the contenders for Asuka heading into the spring.
Yep.
Well, WWE's been going on a signing spree lately. They sign everybody, so they may as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like they haven't really been focusing on bringing in new women. You know, it's mainly they've been doing the UK stuff and 205 Live. That's where they've been putting all their signing efforts into, you know, doing those projects. And it seems like the NXT women have kind of taken a back seat, and that division has taken a bit of a back seat.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on here to the main event. As we mentioned earlier, the entrances are going to be quite spectacular. Shinsuke Nakamura defending the NXT title against Bobby Roode. Now, Nakamura just won the title fairly recently from Samoa Joe, ending that feud. And I think that this is going to be the first of several big matches between these guys. I can see this thing dragging out until the NXT Takeover Orlando, whatever they're going to call it, for WrestleMania weekend. I'm guessing this feud will go on until then. So whatever happens here, I expect some sort of shenanigans to set up a future match between the two of them. Now, since Nakamura just won the title, I think it's too soon for a title change. I think Nakamura will be the next one to be called up after Samoa Joe debuts. He'll be next in line, and then Roode will probably last until the summer and then come to the main roster. So I'm thinking Nakamura will retain on this pay-per-view, and then WrestleMania weekend, Bobby Roode will win the title, and then Nakamura will debut on the main roster after WrestleMania. That's my prediction at this point. What do you think, Jeff?
Well, every once in a while, you guys accuse me of making a very outlandish, very bold prediction. I'm going to do it here.
All right.
I say Bobby Roode wins via shenanigans this time and carries the gold till WrestleMania week in Orlando, and then defeats Nakamura again, this time straight up, no complications, no drama. He beats him right in the middle of the ring, 1, 2, 3 in Orlando, but in San Antonio, he uses trickery and chicanery as the heels do to gain the gold.
Interesting. What do you think, David?
Yeah, that is very interesting. Definitely more in-depth than I was thinking. I thought they would definitely have a series of matches, but I really thought Nakamura would get the first win. But it really could go that way too. You never know, you know. But you notice since NXT's inception, there hasn't been more than a 2-time champion, you know? So I don't know if they're ready to just hot potato the belt right now or not.
Exactly.
But, you know, and I have to ask you guys this question since you mentioned it. You know, I was wondering, you know, who's more ready for WWE, like the entertainment part? Because Bobby Roode seems to have the whole package, where as Nakamura, I don't know, he may need a mouthpiece. What do you guys think?
That's a very good point, David. What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, it would seem that you would need a mouthpiece more on Raw or SmackDown than you would in NXT, although, you know, he does just fine. And, you know, he did just fine for many years, you know, competing in different, not just in Japan, but in different parts of the world,
Sure.
just being Nakamura. I will say that if they put a mouthpiece with him, they may feel the need to turn him heel, which would be a drastic mistake.
Yeah. And with Bobby Roode, the guy can really talk. I mean, I watched the contract signing segment, and he's ready. I mean, both of them are ready for the main roster. They could both be on the main roster now. But the problem is WrestleMania season is coming into full swing, and WWE is already pushing the guys they have on the main roster right now. And you have Joe, who's about to debut on the main roster. So I think it's best to just let these two feud for a while, and then really, in the best case scenario, I would have both guys come up after WrestleMania, but you know they got to have somebody carry the brand. So yeah, it's a big question who should go first. Since Nakamura's been there longer, it should, you know, one would think by that logic it'll be him. Go ahead, Jeff.
Not to put over old employees in No DQ, but I remember going to a pay-per-view in Orlando back in 2004, and a former associate of ours was rooting for Team Canada that night against 3 Live Crew, had a Canadian flag and everything. And I remember him mentioning to us at the end of that weekend, we were heading home, to watch out for Bobby Roode even then.
Yeah.
And that was almost 13 years ago. The guy has always had, you know, he called himself the it factor. He's always had that it factor.
And TNA was pushing him from the beginning. Remember, they did those segments with Bobby Heenan and all the different managers.
Yep, the managers trying to sign him.
Yeah.
And then going with Tracy, which was a stroke of genius to have Tracy manage him. My God. Because she's just gorgeous. Jesus, it's ridiculous. But, yeah, Bobby Roode is one of those guys that no matter when he gets called up, he'll be in the WWE or Universal Championship picture immediately.
Yeah. The question is just the right timing to bring him in when he can make the biggest impact.
I think I agree with your part of the prediction on that, Aaron. I would say have whatever happens at the Rumble weekend in Orlando, have Bobby Roode carry the title till SummerSlam weekend and then get called up then.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, Nakamura. Yeah, but it's just a matter of who's going to win. And, you know, who knows? Maybe you're right, Jeff. Maybe Roode will win the title, and then
I just got the gut feeling about this one. I don't know.
That's an interesting prediction. So I think that's the one different prediction from David and I for all these matches. So we'll see what happens. Yeah. All right, guys, that'll do it for our thoughts on the NXT San Antonio pay-per-view event. Thank you guys for watching the video. Thank you, Jeff and David, for being on today.
Of course.
Make sure you guys stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest regarding the NXT Takeover pay-per-view as well as the Royal Rumble. And we will be back later this week with our predictions for the 2017 Royal Rumble. We'll see you then.